You know, it's a strange thing how much power we assign to circumstances, to luck, to the hands we've been dealt in life. And yet, far too often we overlook the one thing that holds more sway over our future than almost anything else. That's our mindset. The way we interpret the world, the way we respond to adversity, the way we talk to ourselves when no one's listening, that's the arena where the real battle is fought. Your mindset is the master key to your destiny. Not your background, not your IQ, not your social status. Mindset. And what I mean by that is quite profound. If you genuinely understand it, it will shift your trajectory. See, a person with a fixed mindset believes that their intelligence, their talent, their worth, it's all static. It's locked in. They say, well, I'm just not good at that, or I've never been lucky with people, or I wasn't born into the right family. That's the language of someone who's given up the keys to their own future. It's not that they're doomed, but they're acting as though they are. And that's what traps them. But the growth mindset is radically different. It says, where I am is not where I have to stay. It says, even if I fall short today, I can get better tomorrow. It looks at challenges not as threats, but as invitations. It treats effort not as a burden, but as a sign of commitment. When you really adopt this kind of thinking, something incredible happens. You begin to see yourself as a work in progress, not a finished product. And when you do that, you open the door to genuine transformation. You see, growth isn't a lightning strike. It's a decision. Repeated daily, often in silence, without praise, and without immediate reward. It's forged in those quiet moments when no one's watching, when quitting would be easier, when comfort seduces you and tells you to take the easy way out. But the growth mindset pushes back against that. It whispers, keep going. There's more in you. Now, does that mean you'll suddenly enjoy pain? No. Does it mean every obstacle will disappear? Absolutely not. But what it does mean is this: you will stop being a passive character in the story of your own life. You will step into the role of author, someone who accepts responsibility for shaping who they become. And that's no small thing. In fact, that's everything. Think about the greatest people who ever lived, whether they were artists, scientists, leaders, or visionaries. Were they all geniuses? Maybe. But more than that, they were learners. They were adaptable. They didn't freeze when things got hard. They leaned in. They evolved. They failed forward. And that capacity, that willingness to grow, that's what made the difference. And you have that same capacity right now. It doesn't matter what your past looks like. It doesn't matter if you've made mistakes, if you've stumbled, if people have underestimated you or told you you're not enough. That's noise. That's not truth. The truth is this: if you have breath in your lungs, you have room to grow. You have the power to change. You have the authority to step into something better if you're willing to confront your own thinking, challenge your own patterns, and commit to the climb. You can't outsource that. No one can do it for you. But once you truly decide to take ownership of your mind and how you use it, everything else starts to align. Because your mindset is not just how you think, it's how you see. It's the lens through which you interpret the world. And when you change that lens, the entire landscape transforms. So, don't wait for permission. Don't wait for the stars to align. Don't wait until it feels easy. Own your mind, shape it, sharpen it, train it, because the moment you do, you stop being a prisoner of your circumstances and you start becoming the architect of your future. We tend to romanticize talent. We look at someone who's naturally gifted, an athlete with freakish reflexes, a musician who plays by ear, a student who aces every exam without studying, and we think, wow, they were born for this. And yes, sure, talent exists. Natural ability can give you an edge. But here's the problem. If you believe talent alone determines success, you set yourself up to fail the moment things get hard. Because talent might get you noticed, but only effort will carry you through the fire. And the fire always comes. You see it all the time. A gifted kid in school who never learns how to struggle, who coasts through the early years and then crumbles the moment the work demands something more. An employee who shows promise, who's clever and quick, but resists challenge because it threatens their ego, or worse, someone who thinks they're already good enough and stops pushing entirely. That's the moment their talent becomes a trap. Because if you're not growing, you're falling behind. And if you think you don't need to grow, you've already lost the fight. Effort beats talent. Especially when talent stops growing. Why? Because effort is renewable. Effort compounds. Effort is under your control. You don't get to choose the genes we're born with. But you do get to choose how hard you work, how disciplined you become, and how relentlessly you pursue what matters to you. That's a power few people ever fully realize. And yet, it's available to all of us, regardless of where we start. Now, people often mistake effort for mere activity. But I'm not talking about being busy. I'm talking about intentional effort. The kind of effort that's aimed at growth. The kind of effort that looks in the mirror and says, where am I falling short? And what am I doing about it? That kind of effort is transformative. Because when you consistently show up and improve by just a fraction, that margin multiplies. It might not be dramatic in the moment, but over time it separates those who coast from those who conquer. And let's be honest, effort requires humility. It means admitting you're not, or you could be. It means being okay with looking foolish at the beginning. It means resisting the temptation to compare yourself to someone 10 steps ahead and instead asking, how do I get one step better today? That mindset, that humility-driven effort is what turns ordinary people into extraordinary ones. Because they're not chasing perfection, they're chasing progress. Think about any master in any field, chess, martial arts, medicine, business. They didn't get there because they never failed. They got there because they kept showing up after failure. They got there because they were willing to do the boring, the painful, the unglamorous work when no one was watching. And that takes effort. Daily, focused, determined effort. And this is where it gets even more interesting. When you consistently apply effort, you don't just grow in skill, you grow in character, you develop grit, you cultivate patience, you become resilient, you start to respect yourself, not for being perfect, but for being committed. That kind of self-respect is priceless because it's earned. And when things get difficult, when pressure hits, it's not talent that saves you. It's the discipline, the habits, the muscle you've built through relentless effort. So don't envy the talented. Outwork them, outlast them, outgrow them. Talent is flashy, but effort is foundational. Talent might shine in the beginning, but effort builds legacies. And you're not in this to impress people for a moment. You're in this to transform, to rise, to leave a mark that lasts. Every day, you choose effort over comfort. You choose growth over stagnation. And that choice, repeated again and again, is what sets you apart. Because the people who go the farthest aren't the ones who started with the most. They're the ones who refuse to stop growing. So keep showing up. Keep putting in the work. And let your effort speak louder than your excuses. Failure has this way of getting into your head, doesn't it? It whispers things when you're alone. It tells you you're not cut out for it, that maybe you're just not enough, that all your effort, all your planning it was for nothing. But let me tell you something that most people never fully grasp. Failure isn't final, not even close. In fact, if you have the right perspective, failure becomes the very thing that forges your rise. It's not a wall, it's a mirror. And it reflects back everything you need to see to get stronger. The mistake most people make is that they personalize failure. They fall short. Instead of separating their performance from their identity, they blend the two. They don't say, I failed. They say, I am a failure. And that's dangerous, because when you believe that lie, you stop trying, you stop learning, you retreat, and you hand over your future to fear. But failure is information. It's feedback. It's brutal, sure, but it's honest. It doesn't sugarcoat, it tells you what didn't work. And if you're willing to listen instead of collapse, it will point you in the direction of your next breakthrough. See, the strongest people, the ones you admire, they didn't avoid failure, they endured it, they studied it, they mined it for wisdom, even when it stung, especially when it stung. And look, this isn't some romantic idea. This is real. You put your heart into something and it doesn't work out, you get rejected, you fall short, you lose what you thought was, that's guaranteed. It shakes you, but in that moment, you're standing at a crossroads. One path leads to bitterness, to blame, to resignation. The other path, the harder one, leads to resilience, growth, wisdom, and eventually success. If you keep walking, you have to understand resilience isn't built when everything's going your way. It's forged in the fire. It's built in the late nights after the setback, in the quiet mornings when no one else believes in you and you have to decide if you still do. That's when you grow. That's when the foundation is laid, not for a momentary win, but for a lasting transformation. So if you've failed, good. That means you tried. That means you stepped into the ring while others stayed in the stands. You faced risk, you faced uncertainty, and that takes courage. But now you have a choice to make. You can let the fall define you, or you can let it refine you. When most people face an obstacle, their first reaction is to back away, to shrink, to question whether the path they're on is worth it at all. It's understandable. Obstacles are uncomfortable. They create resistance. They demand more from you than you thought you'd have to give. But that's precisely the point. Obstacles aren't meant to stop you. They're meant to reveal you. They show you what you're made of and what still needs to be forged. There's a certain truth in life that we try to avoid, but we can't escape it. Growth never happens without friction. And when you encounter an obstacle, something you didn't plan for, something you weren't ready for, that's friction. That's the moment where your character gets tested. And that's where opportunity lives, because it forces you to stretch, to adapt, to become more than you were the day before. Now, the problem is, we've been conditioned to believe that obstacles are a sign that we're doing something wrong, but often they're a sign that we're heading exactly where we need to go. If everything's easy, if you're never tested, if the road is always smooth, chances are you're not growing, you're coasting. And nothing great is built in a comfort zone. So the question isn't whether obstacles will come, they will. The real question is, how will you face them? Will you crumble under the weight of resistance, or will you meet it head on and let it refine you? Because when you stop running from the hard things and you start leaning into them, you begin to realize something powerful. That obstacle you feared, it wasn't blocking your path. It was the path. There's something remarkable about a person who stops seeing problems as punishments and starts viewing them as opportunities for mastery. That mindset doesn't just change how you experience the world, it changes what you're capable of in it. Every great leader, creator, or visionary you admire, they didn't get there by avoiding obstacles. They advanced through them. So the next time you feel resistance, don't turn away, don't retreat. Step forward. Because every obstacle you face is an invitation to rise higher than you were before. The way you speak, especially to yourself, matters more than most people realize. Your words are not just sounds passing through air. They're declarations. They shape how you perceive yourself, how you respond to challenge, and how you interpret the world around you. Every time you say, I can't, or I always mess this up, you're reinforcing a belief. And those beliefs, spoken enough times, become boundaries, invisible cages, self-fulfilling prophecies. But when you start to speak growth, you break those cages. You shift your identity. You create new mental pathways that say, I'm learning, or I'm not there yet, but I will be. That's not delusion. That's discipline. That's refusing to accept limitation as permanent. That's refusing to make a momentary struggle your lifelong story. It's not about blind positivity or ignoring reality. It's about choosing words that align with where you're going, not just where you are. Because language directs focus. And what you focus on expands. If you speak defeat, you see more of it. If you speak growth, you begin to act like someone who's evolving. And action follows belief. So guard your language. Challenge the words that keep you small. Replace them with truth, strong, grounded truth. The kind that builds instead of breaks. Because the words you repeat become the life you live. And if you want to change your world, start by changing your vocabulary. Speak strength. Speak discipline. Speak growth. One of the most underestimated forces shaping your life, whether you're conscious of it or not, is the people you surround yourself with. It's subtle, almost invisible, but over time it has a profound effect on your mindset, your behavior, your habits, and your sense of what's possible. You become like the people you consistently engage with. Their values seep into your own. Their expectations begin to define your ceiling. Their energy, whether it's built on growth or stagnation, bleeds into your decisions. It's astonishing how often people say they want change, they want to grow, they want to break through some invisible barrier in their life, and yet they remain in environments that are antithetical to that transformation. They keep relationships that drain their ambition. They stay close to voices that doubt them. They surround themselves with people who are more invested in comfort than growth, in entertainment than discipline, in coping than conquering. Now, I'm not saying abandon people the moment they struggle, or that you're only valuable if you're constantly achieving. No. Growth isn't about elitism. It's about direction. It's about movement. If the people around you are moving, even slowly, in the direction of truth, effort, and becoming better, then you're in good company. But if you're surrounded by those who constantly criticize growth, who scoff at effort, who treat mediocrity as a virtue, then you're going to find yourself stuck. Because whether you realize it or not, your environment either nurtures your progress or poisons it. We're social creatures. We're wired to mirror those around us. If you're in a room where no one takes responsibility, you'll eventually start excusing your own failures too. If you're constantly hearing that it's too late or too hard or not worth it, it wears you down. And if no one around you is aiming higher, you might forget that aiming higher is even an option. But when you're surrounded by growth, by people who challenge you to think deeply, act with integrity, strive with purpose, something in you begins to shift. You start to adopt a different standard for yourself. You begin to take your own life more seriously. Their discipline becomes contagious. Their vision stretches your imagination. Their resilience fuels your own. And this doesn't mean you need to be surrounded by high-profile entrepreneurs or elite thinkers or ultra-successful influencers. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about everyday people, mentors, friends, family members, even online communities who are committed to rising, people who value growth over comfort, people who won't let you wallow in self-pity, who will call you out when you're playing small, who will remind you that you're capable of more, even when you've forgotten it yourself. Oh, it might sound harsh, but it's the truth. Sometimes the people closest to you are the ones anchoring you in place, not out of malice, but out of fear. Your desire to grow can be threatening to those who've accepted staying the same. Your discipline might expose their apathy. Your ambition might make their excuses harder to swallow. And rather than grow with you, they may try to pull you back down, subtly, quietly, and consistently. It doesn't always come in the form of open criticism. Sometimes it's just apathy. Sometimes it's the lack of encouragement. Sometimes it's the passive acceptance of mediocrity. But it has a weight to it, a gravity. And if you're not intentional about resisting it, you'll find yourself giving into it. That's why you have to curate your environment with purpose, not with arrogance, but with clarity. You have to ask yourself, who am I becoming by being around these people? What kinds of conversations am I having regularly? Are they pushing me forward or holding me in place? Are the people in my life reflecting who I was or who I want to be? And if you find that your environment is limiting you, you don't have to burn every bridge, but you do have to build new ones. You can expand your circle. You can seek out mentors. You can find communities that value the things you value. You can read the books, listen to the voices, and engage in the kinds of ideas that cultivate a higher standard for your life. Because here's the thing, growth is hard enough as it is. Why make it harder by surrounding yourself with people who don't believe in it? You need people in your corner who aren't afraid to tell you the truth, who won't coddle your insecurities, who will stand with you when you're weak, but won't let you stay there, who celebrate your progress, not because they're impressed by success, but because they see the effort behind it. People like that don't just support your journey, they accelerate it. And that kind of environment, it feeds your soul. It sharpens your mind. It lifts your standards. When you're around people who believe in growth, you begin to expect more from yourself. You stop settling. You stop making excuses. You start to align your actions with your potential, and that alignment, that integrity, becomes your power. So don't underestimate your environment. It's not a background detail. It's not irrelevant. It's foundational. Because growth isn't just about what you do, it's about who you're doing it around. You can have the best intentions, the clearest goals, the most determined heart, but if you plant your vision in toxic soil, it won't grow. Protect your vision by protecting your space. Surround yourself with people who want to grow, not because it's trendy, but because it's true. People who are humble enough to admit they're not finished and brave enough to keep climbing anyway. So here we are, standing on the edge of a choice that echoes through every part of your life. It's not just about success or goals or checking off achievements on some list. It's about who you become in the process. It's about stepping into the reality that your mindset shapes everything. How you see the world, how you respond to failure, how you grow through challenge, and how you rise when everything in you wants to quit. You've seen now that it's not talent that wins, it's effort. Not perfection, but progress. That failure isn't a dead end, it's a catalyst. That obstacles aren't punishments, they're invitations to rise. That the words you speak create the lens through which you live. And most critically, that the people you choose to surround yourself with either breathe life into your growth or slowly suffocate it. The growth mindset, it's not some trendy idea or a motivational buzzword. It's a way of being, a daily discipline, a commitment to never staying the same, to meeting your weakness with responsibility, to choosing courage over comfort, again and again and again, because your life will reflect what you believe about yourself. And if you truly believe that you're capable of more, then your actions must begin to echo that belief. Not someday, not when it's easy, but now. So take ownership, take the risk of believing in your potential. Walk forward into the resistance, and above all, grow. Grow with intention, grow with fire. Grow until the person you become is unrecognizable to the one who once played small. That's the real victory. That's the life worth living. People often talk about winning in life, in business, and relationships, as if it's this external prize that you chase down and capture. As if success is sitting out there somewhere, just waiting for the right person to find it. But that's not how it works. That's not how any of this works. Because the truth, the deeper truth, is that victory doesn't begin out there. It doesn't start with your job, your bank account, or your social status. It starts in one place, your mind. And until you conquer yourself, you're not winning anything worth keeping. See, the mind is a battlefield. Every single day you're at war with doubt, fear, laziness, distraction. These aren't just abstract concepts. They're real forces. They whisper to you when you're tired. They creep in when things get hard. They tell you to hit snooze, to take the easy road, to settle for good enough. And if you don't learn to identify those voices and push back, if you don't rise up and take control, you'll live your entire life being ruled by the part of you that wants to stay safe and small. It's a hard truth, but one that needs to be heard. No one is coming to save you from yourself. No mentor, no motivational video, no partner, no applause. You are both the problem and the solution. You are the prison and the key. And that's not something to be discouraged by. That's something to be empowered by. Because if the war is in your mind, then it means you already hold the weapons to win it. You already have what it takes. You just haven't learned how to use it yet. And here's the thing about the mind. It's plastic. It bends. It grows. It's trainable. But it's only shaped through challenge, through tension, through fire. You don't become mentally strong by being comfortable. You don't develop resilience by winning all the time. You build it by getting up when you've been knocked flat. You shape it every time you choose discipline over chaos. Every time you act in alignment with who you want to be, not who you feel like being in the moment. And that's the crux of it, really. Feelings are fleeting. They'll betray you. You won't feel like showing up. You won't feel like putting in the work. You won't feel like being great. But the mind, that deeper part of you, the part that remembers your purpose, can override that. It can push through, but only if you train it like a warrior. Not once, not occasionally, but daily. Look around at people who never reached their potential. It's not because they didn't have the talent. It's not because they lacked opportunity. It's because they lost the battle in their own heads. They gave in to fear. They listened to self-doubt. They let negative self-talk run the show. And what you allow to take root in your mind will eventually grow into your reality. So take responsibility for your inner world. Learn to sit in silence and confront your thoughts. Identify the lies you've believed about yourself. I'm not good enough. I'll always be this way. Change is too hard. And tear them out at the root. Replace them with truth, with discipline, with vision. Your mind is either your greatest weapon or your greatest weakness. You decide which one it becomes. This is where it all begins. Not with a strategy, not with a schedule, but with a decision. A decision to no longer be your own worst enemy. A decision to rise up and say enough. Enough of the excuses, enough of the sabotage, enough of living beneath your potential. You want to learn to win? Then start by winning the one battle that matters most. Win the battle within. Because if you can't do that, you'll never win anything else. Most people misunderstand pain. They treat it like it's this flashing red light that tells them to back off, to sit down, to stop moving forward. But pain isn't the end of the road. It's the beginning of transformation. It's not there to destroy you. It's there to teach you, to alert you, to wake you up. Pain is a signal. And when you learn to interpret it properly, you stop running from it and start using it. Now, the world we live in, modern society, it's built on comfort. Everything is designed to make life easier, softer, more convenient. We avoid discomfort at all costs. We medicate it, we numb it, we distract ourselves from it with screens and dopamine. But here's the problem with that. Nothing great, nothing worth building, nothing truly transformational ever comes without some degree of suffering.